Afternoon, everyone. So I'm David Williamson, Vice President of Product Development and Technology for the API Group. Together with my colleague David Peters, we're doing a bit of a double act. I'm doing the kind of fairly staid technical bit, and then the house lights will dim, the music will start thumping, and the party will really get going when David comes on. So, without kind of further ado, I'll get straight into the presentation, and it really picks up on a couple of the points that were, or a couple of the presentations from this morning. For what seems like an age now, there's been noise and rumblings around sustainability in packaging and the efficacy of packaging. But these have, in many cases, been overlooked in favour of more pragmatic considerations, things like price, performance, price, functionality, and, of course, price. I think in the last 12 months, as was said this morning, that dynamic has changed, and I think we genuinely have reached and probably gone past a tipping point where there's no coming back. So what I'd like to do over the course of the next 5 or 10 minutes is just talk through some of the actions that API have taken, some of the investments that we've made to try and address these concerns. So classically, there are three main ways of getting a metallic effect onto a folding carton or a label. And because it can be applied in line with print, probably metallic ink is the cheapest of those options, certainly for small areas. For large areas, the cost of the inks can be quite prohibitive, and it becomes less economically viable. And although technological improvements have meant that the appearance of metallic inks is better now than it certainly was 5 or 10 years ago, there's still a fairly clear, reflective, shiny line between a metallic foil or laminate and a metallic ink that is meant to look silver but can sometimes look grey. So hot and cold foils represent a more impactful solution, and in fact contain less aluminium than you'd find in the equivalent area of a metallic ink. Inline foiling, whether it's rotary or sheet-fed cold foiling, is undoubtedly growing, but again, for large areas, the cost of the foil can become expensive, and in the case of hot foil, it's an offline process, so there is an extra cost there as well, which can make it prohibitive for large areas in particular. So what that means is that for large area metallic effects, really the method of choice to achieve a metallic effect has traditionally been a filmic laminate, usually a metallized polyester film laminate. And the advantages of that are that the film itself provides protection, so the aluminium is beneath the plastic film, so it's well protected, making the finished folding carton very durable and robust. It's also obviously a highly reflective material, so it kind of ticks that box as well. However, the plastic film means that the surface is completely non-absorbent, so the use of conventional printing inks is not impossible, but difficult, and UV printing is the recommended format for printing. And of course, it's necessary to separate the film from the carton board in order to allow it to be recycled. So API being a kind of pioneer in this area and having interest in all three chains, we supply laminated board, we supply hot and cold foils, and we're also involved in the supply chain for metallic ink. We've spent many years and a significant resource looking at methods that we can resolve this sustainability issue with metallized film laminates. And we were the first people to launch a cellulosic biofilm laminate, which kind of ticked all of the sustainability boxes. It was accredited to EN 134. It is accredited to EN 13432 from a compostability standpoint. It's repulpable, but the actual cost of the biofilm and the poor yield meant that it really wasn't adopted as we hoped it would be. So what that meant was in 2013 we launched our completely plastic-free Transmet product. And since then, we have gone on to be the single largest producer of that material in the Western world, and have outputted somewhere in the region of 350 to 400 million square meters in the intervening 5 years, as I say, making us the largest by some way. During this time, we also developed our own vertically integrated supply chain. So we actually produce the Transmet film down the road in Livingston. That then gets shipped to Poynton in Cheshire, just south of Manchester, where we transfer it onto the carton board on one of our 4 custom-made laminating machines, and then supply it on to printers across Europe. So what is Transmet? If we first of all consider the standard Metpol board, so this is the construction on the left. The very top layer of that material is an NC lacquer. It's a primer that's designed to give printability and gluability. It's got one purpose in life, which is that. Then the metallized film, we trap the aluminium, so that gives it the durability and the robustness. Contrast that with the transfer metallized board, where we have introduced a release coating in between the polyester and the aluminium. And there should be samples on everyone's desk where you can actually peel off the polyester and effectively create your own transfer metallized board. This is the process that we have machines to do, but it's quite a satisfying experience separating the two. We're asking the release coating it's quite complex chemistry because we're asking it to do a number of things. Obviously, it's got to release from the polyester so it works through our process. But in addition to that, it's got to be printable, it's got to be gluable. For some applications, it's got to have heat resistance, and it's got to give some protection to the aluminium, all in a coating that's a micron thick. It's probably worth saying at this point, for kind of heavy-duty spirits cartons, we recommend another coating on top of that after the transfer process to give it extra protection. We can do this in line on our machine, so it's minimal extra cost. But clearly, even with that, Transmet is not as robust a material as a metallized polyester board. There's no plastic there to protect. And it's also fair to say that not every carton board goes through that process in the way that you might expect. But with the experience that we've built up, we have sufficient understanding, knowledge to be able to circumnavigate any of the obstacles that might present themselves and provide solutions to those problems. But it's not a trivial exercise producing this material, but we've mastered it. In terms of the actual process itself, there you can see the metallized polyester unwinding. We put adhesive on the polyester, laminate it together with the carton board, dry the adhesive so it cures, and then we split the polyester in line from the carton board, leaving the aluminium with the release coat on the board. The film is transparent, it's wound up. what doesn't happen to that film is it doesn't go to landfill. We either put it through the process again, so take it back, put another layer of coating on it, metallize it, and use it again, or we use it for one of our stamping foil products. We've done that quite successfully, or we repurpose a proportion of it into injection molding applications, but none of it, the volumes we've produced, we couldn't afford to landfill it. It would be too expensive. So it is a recycled material. So summing up before I hand over, the advent of API's Transmit has really given designers, brand owners, and specifiers the choice now. It's not necessary to make a choice between whether a metallic pack looks good or whether it's sustainable. It's possible to have both, safe in the knowledge that the weight used is the minimum possible, there's the least possible aluminium present. The carton can be recycled in the way that a regular folding carton can be recycled, and most importantly, that the film is reused or repurposed and does not end up in landfill. And with that, I'd like to hand over to my colleague, David Peters.
Okay, so just following on from David, for those of you that don't know me, my name's David Peters, and I'm the Creative Development Manager for the API Group. What that means is that I work with all of our teams across all hubs across the world, various countries specialising in luxury packaging, not just within spirits, within drinks, but also the cosmetics, tobacco, where packaging needs to create impact, where it needs to be visually impactful on shelf, whether that's in the retailers or within the duty-free arenas. What we've done for the last 3 years successfully is launch our Trends Folio. What that actually means is, alongside the technical trends covering sustainability, what David's spoken about, we look at the visual trends and its impact. So taking on, working alongside some of the leading trend organisations, WGSN, and also Promosteel, what we do is convert the fashion trends into the API approach, covering all of our materials from foils, laminates, special effects, and finishes. What we've done is contain all of this information within our folio, which is available today and also through the post. But what we try and do is inspire. What we want to do and what we have achieved is inspiring projects, concepts, ideas, thoughts. They may be with our converters, our printers, partners, design agencies, and also the brand owners. First and foremost, we want to be involved in a project right from the beginning to see what benefit, what we can do that is different, what is not already on the shelf. So taking one of our key trends. So this is a summary of the 4 trends we release every year. This is our most impactful using Rainbow, Beauty of Light. Rain Show is about impactfulness on shelf. So whether you're a illuminating cosmetic, whether you're a dynamic spirit, for example, within the cocktail arena, what we want to do is look at this trend to help inspire the catalyst, if you like, for the project development. Rain Show looks at, as you can see, holographic solutions, which we create the origins for that over in our site in the Czech Republic. But we create all these beautiful effects and finishes, and this board shows you all the dynamics that can be achieved with material selection. So really, before a project starts, we may take Rain Show as the starting point of this pack needs to stand out on shelf, it needs to be beautiful, we need to use the lighting in a more impactful way. There's certain areas within duty-free, for example, where it might be dark, or we might need to create more awareness on the packaging, on a piece of detail. So we look at the various options. On here, we have some dynamic starbursts, pillars of lights, raindrops, so they can be quite loud, quite almost the Disney effect, but also they're being quite subtle as well, and again, using and utilising the beauty of light. Let's click through. The second one, poetry. So we've moved from Rain Show, which is about using light, holographics, and all the kind of colours that are associated to that. Poetry is about detail. It's more sophisticated and it's using inspiration from nature. On the second slide, you can see here it's more considered, it's more precise, and it's harnessing the beauty, the effects, the finishes of the laminates, which might be dull, illuminating effects. And we have the condensation effects at the bottom right. We have the wave, the smoothness. So for example, if you're working on, working on a cognac over in France, a whiskey, if it's about the smoothness of the product, of the formulation, of the skincare, we can actually show that and demonstrate that on the packaging as well. So again, outer packaging cartons, but also on the label expressions, caps, tamper evidences, that type of thing. And again, this is about slowing down, telling a story. Poetry is about using nature as an inspiration. So that's our second trend. Strong with my clicker. Just going back. So urban, this is our strong personality. This trend is about expression on shelf. What we wanted to do here is create superheroes, dynamics. This could be for a project which is about, it might be an evolution, it might be a limited edition, a special range where it needs to be noticed. So we use lots of dynamics on the packaging here. We have grid systems evoking downtown New York. We have inspiration with our new collection, Swatch collection, which is taking inspiration from urban. This is our new revamped range. We're looking at how we can use light dynamics, but industrial, bold, very impulsive. So this trend is about the big personality. We want to stand out. We have examples within the trend book of Elvive. So if you were, for example, a conditioner product, shampoos, personal care, it's the dynamics of what it's going to do. Prada packaging, very bold at the top left there. But again, what we're trying to do here is look at if there's an opportunity to create something different on shelf. So this is the third personality or the third key trend driver that we're promoting. Prestige is our luxury trend, our most important trend. We're using this a lot at the moment with our spirit customers. It could be global duty free, it could be the retailers, where they wanted to produce something which is about absolute luxury. Key seasons, as we all know, festive periods, celebration times, summertime, celebration, again, key for anniversaries, that type of thing. We're looking at how we can use packaging, going back to the classics of the rubies, the sapphires, the emeralds, but how can we use different types of golds within our portfolio? So we have the extreme mattes, which are going to be very popular between 19 and 2020. But what we're trying to do here is help create icons, classic icons, packaging that's going to be around for a long time. So when we're working with a brand, let's say it's one of our whiskey brands, how established is it? Is there a heritage that we need to evoke? Working alongside the design agencies, the brand owner, is there something we can use as part of these trends, some element that is going to make them stand out on shelf and be ahead of the competition? Essentially, we're here to empower brands. We want your consumer's eye to be the first, your pack to be the first thing that they look at. Again, the arena of duty-free, very competitive. We have some scientific white papers that are on our website, which explores how the consumer looks at packaging. So we have a study, plain packaging versus metallic packaging, either 80% coverage, 5% coverage. What the consumer's proven to look at is if they see anything metallic, it denotes luxury premiumness. And what we're doing is creating the extraordinary from the ordinary. So budgets, standard bottles, standard cartons, what can we do with the decoration to make it that little bit different? This is a bit centered. There we go. So uniqueness. And again, with the API, product catalogue, what we want to do is create uniqueness. We want our packaging to serve its purpose, to be very successful for our customers, for our design agencies. We want them to win awards. We want them to challenge them to think differently. With our brand managers, we want them to be successful. We want the product to fly off the shelf. And with our printers, working alongside them, the materials perfectly match with the criteria of their machinery, and we're constantly feeding the machine in the way they need. We start promotion with the uniqueness at our exhibitions. Usually people come and attend the exhibition, speak to us, explain their ideas, their concepts, and if it's possible to kind of, I don't know, discuss what we would do. Because we're a global company and we see most retail environments, we have a lot of experience that we share. We create some mini audits and we can talk to our customers. This example, an innovation day, this could be an hour, it could be the whole day, where we explore all the opportunities. It may be a project brief. Going back to sustainability, that used to be a brief that I used to have where on the pecking order of importance, it might be 7 or 8. Now it's number 1 or 2. It's essential to have some element of environmental essence in the packaging. Here we're exploring, at this particular stage, a design agency working on a champagne box, carton, label, exploring the different trends, so the 4 superheroes of the trends, and what that would mean if we did print trials, mock-ups, etc., throughout our innovation day. Highlighting prestige, this particular project, champagnes, as we know, as whiskies, spirits, very competitive in the arena. This particular brief, the champagne box, for duty-free, wanted to capture the consumer, where they may have 1 hour, 2 hours in airports waiting for the flights. Do they purchase perfume for €100? Do they purchase champagne for 50? Is the pack expression larger? If I'm giving a gift to somebody, does it look more effective being a larger pack? Does the material have to work harder on the pack? So for the Moët Chandon, we looked at executing the different types of goals. What goals could they own in store, on shelf? The dynamics of our material, whether it be lens technology, foils, working alongside the printers, some new lacquers that they may be using, some new process of embossing, debossing. Again, we experiment, but we're using the trend and the trend book as the first step of, is this the personality? Is this the kind of feeling that we want with the packaging? As you can see here, the starburst, the beauty of the light, the way it interacts. I just have a little sample here. But essentially, we wanted this to be the icon on the shelf with prestige. And we wanted any consumer looking for a drink solution or a gift to make sure that they use this, as even if they just pick it off the shelf, we've done our job. So again, just to backtrack, we look at how this trend is expressed, sense check. It's either too strong or not strong enough. There we go. And essentially we finish up with this beautiful pack expression.